Washing.
All right, I'm Dallas P. Oliver Jr. And I joined the Air Force right after I got out of school in January of '42. I was in the National Guard already, so I went on recruiting service because I didn't need to have any basic training because I was already taking military training before. Is that thing going?
It's going.
So in 42, I joined the Air Force. I volunteered for the Air Force, and then I went on recruiting service to help put the men in the Air Force because I'd already had the training. And I stayed in that for 5 months and recruited. Our crew recruited downtown Port Arthur 2,500 men in the Air Force, which was all earmarked to go to Ellington Field if they joined, which they agreed, and so they went to Ellington Field. I stayed at Ellington Field. I stayed at home while I was on recruiting service. Then I stayed at home, and when the basic training was over, they sent me to train as an Air Force gunner on a B-17 bomber. And that was in '42. I stayed 42. I was stationed at Ellington Field right out of Houston for about 3 months. Then I went to Fort Dodd in San Antonio. Then I got on a regular bombing crew the same summer, and went from there to gunnery school as a AP mechanic, flight engineer. So then I got my rank, and I was a 748 top turret gunner on a B-17. And my first mission in '44 was Poznan, Poland. I was flying out of England over into Germany. I went to Poznan, Poland, 14-hour mission. We made it there and made it back. Second mission was outskirts of Berlin, which it had never been penetrated. Got back okay, and the third mission, I went on the mission, and I got deathly sick. They put me in the hospital, stayed in the hospital, kind of like the flu, for 3 days or 4 days, while my crew was flying with another crew in my place. So at that time, I had 3 missions And when I started back, they had 5 missions. And I only had 3. Then they let me out of the hospital in 44, and they planned the big push with 2,000 bombers, July of 44. That, at that time, was my 4th mission. It was my crew's 5th mission, because they'd already got ahead of me. So then I went to gunnery. I went to another gunnery school on another crew, another bomber, and made 3 more missions, which made my 6th mission, and they had almost 8 or 9, I forget. So everything was all right. We went out on their 8th mission and got shot up and had to land on an emergency airfield and salvaged the plane. It wasn't flyable anymore. So I had my bombardier and my navigator was both shot.
Killed?
No. No, while we were flying, nothing happened to them other than Zalco and Blackjack Turner, which was the navigator, and Zalco was the bombardier. They both got shot, and we treated them and landed on an emergency landing field in Yorktown. We made it across the channel without ditching, without hitting the water, and we made that. They brought us a new plane, which was sad on my part because it didn't have any paint on it. And a plane that's silver and doesn't have any paint on it is a death trap. Radar can follow you anywhere. So at that time, by the time we had went to 2 or 3 more missions, I was on my 10th mission. And my crew was on their 13th mission. They had 3 missions more than me. So on the fatal move of March, later on in March, they gave us the mission to go to a Luftwaffe Air Force camp and wipe it out. So we went in there, and that's where we got hit going in, caught all kind of commotion coming out, but didn't make it all the way. And there I was, Flack coming up with a brand new plane.
Silver at that.
They evidently didn't have time to paint it. I still say they sent us on a
Suicide mission.
on a what did I call it?
Suicide mission.
on a, what did I call it? The mission, which was in other words, it was an ill-fated mission. Fighters got us, hit us. Now, it was my 10th mission, their 15th mission. We got shot up by the fighters. 2 of my waist gunners jumped out before the emergency alarm went off, because I was the only one that could punch it when I knew it had to be for everybody to bail out. But it wasn't that bad at that time. So we went on. I went through about the half the mission. Just as we started to drop our bombs, the plane broke in half. 155 millimeter, took both of the wings off on the left bank, and she nosedived and broke in half, and down she went. Everybody in the front was burnt to death. My pilot was burnt beyond recognition. Leon Robinson, Zalco, was dead. The 2 new people that were flying with us when we had to leave our crew home,
What do you do with all your?
they died.
What do you do with all your boxes? You have to give them back or something?
Then we,
Oh, you did? That's what I'm.
when it exploded,
Kathy has a box.
throwed me in the back of the plane in the tail.
They put these pictures in, they were down.
I hit my head and wounded my head and my nose.
Diane's coming tomorrow, or they come driving tomorrow. So I was going-
I had to work my way
You know,
in the tail itself,
to those other books,
nothing but
she divided all
the tail.
those that Glenn was in. She-
I've been trying to find it.
Only-
I have the tail, which is a brand new plane that came from Boeing Aircraft 2 days before, never had not one speck of paint on it, had never been on a mission or nothing. We were guinea pigs is what we were. And it broke in half,
How high were y'all?
22,000 feet. We had just dropped part of the bombs when the plane broke in half. I guess you've seen in Stalag 7, in Memphis Belle, where how the planes broke apart and everything.
Some of these people I don't even know.
So I was able to get up, and the first thing I heard when I came to, which wasn't very long, I heard my mother hollering at me. Mama prayed the whole time. Me, Cleve, and Marion were in the service overseas at the same time. And she prayed all the time, went to church every morning. But I definitely heard her mention my name. June. June. She said that twice. I'll never forget it. Some people say that I'm not, that I'm making it up, but I'm not. I told Mama when I got out of POW, that's the first 2 words I heard her say. June. June. Come to find out, on that day in March, first part of March, or February, last of February, that the plane, when we all had to bail out. 2 of my waist gunners bailed out before their time. They got out, they stayed loose for 2 weeks apiece by landing in another place. And by the time I got out, the plane was just the tail was doing this.
You want to drink a little water?
Round and around.
But like,
Just the tail section.
Wizard of Oz.
I wished I could find it. I know it's in my pictures, but I can't find it.
How high do you think you were when you actually parachuted, got out?
Parachuted at about 22,000 feet. I had my oxygen mask tied to my leg. You can't live at 22,000 feet. You can't live at 15,000 feet altitude without oxygen. So by having my bottle, which I was the one that had to wear it because I had to walk all over the plane. So I had it on my leg, and it stayed on my leg until I hit the tree, but it was on this elastic, it was doing this, it was about to break off. But I was lucky, it didn't tear apart. And by the time I got down to where I could breathe normal, regular oxygen, because you can't, you get the bends, you go crazy, you die within 1 minute without oxygen.
Tell them about the 2 men leaving before you, and you and the fellow, when the plane broke up, how you had to bail out, you and him, the 2 of you bailed out together.
Yeah, me and, well, it pulled the Smerris out. When the plane broke in half, we were both in the tail section. We were trying to get the ball to it. Gunner out. What is it?
Little water.
McClure was in the ball turret. He can't get out when he don't have electricity.
So he died.
So we were trying to crank him up and we didn't make it. Yes, he died. He was 14 foot underground in the ball turret when they took one of the waist gunners that had jumped out early. They had captured them. They took them to the place where the plane was. Germans took a picture, and Abbott was able to get the pictures after the war.
Showing the
And
crash.
I have it, but I can't find it. I have to go through some more
He tells
stuff.
He tells the story of the 2 waist gunners, the right and the left. They jumped out before they heard the bell. And then after that...
They heard the bell. The emergency went
the
on.
Pilot, the pilot, co-pilot, the navigator, and the bombardier, they were all killed because they couldn't get out. So Dallas and this other fellow, what was his name? When the plane broke up...
Dismaris, the radio operator.
They were the only 4
We landed within,
out of 10 people.
as far as from here to Dale's house, from one another.
Okay, let's talk about that. When you knew you was going to hit, or when you hit ground.
All right?
When your parachute hit the ground, what were you thinking?
I was in a tree,
Okay.
15 foot, about as high as that tree right there, from the ground. We had the English type chutes that hooked this way. And when you pull your ripcord, it goes above your head and stays above your head and keeps you straight. So what happened, when after all that happened, I was able, I said, throw your safety pack away. Throw it in that ditch there that had a stream. There's a plastic bag with 2,500 German money that we could use to escape, for escape money. And
First day of school is
my
fine.
pistol had a 45 automatic pistol. I told Dismaris, I said, throw your gun, your pistol, because we both wore sidearms, throw them in that ditch, because the Germans are going to be here in just a few minutes. And that's exactly what happened. The civilians wanted to kill us. We were in German territory. We didn't land in France, we landed in Frankfurt. And that German right across the
They didn't
French
like
border.
Americans either, the civilians.
Huh?
The civilians didn't like Americans either.
No, well, nobody liked the Americans. The Guineas, the Italians, but 4 of us was lucky enough to get out alive.
Okay.
And there's only, as far as I know, I'm the only one living.
Let's talk about further. You hit the ground, here comes the Germans. The civilians
Germans.
are trying to get there at the same time, and the
And
German
the
soldiers
civilians-
obviously capture
The
you.
civilians tried to hit us with rakes and pitchforks, but the German soldiers, when they were told, y'all capture them prisoners so we can interrogate them, and no fooling around. And they told them that, they didn't, they knocked hell out of it. All the civilians.
Go ahead, keep on, he's going.
Who is that?
Go ahead, Kathy's leaving to go take the little girl to dance. Tell them about how the Germans picked you up.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead, time's a wasting.
Is it over?
No, keep going. You got
Anyway,
captured.
they saved us. They started beating the hell out of the German civilians and breaking us away from them and putting us in these little 3-wheel sidecar motorcycles. They had one for Dismaris and one for me, with a guy driving it. Had 3-wheel. Who's that on the floor?
They're going to take her to dance. Keep talking, honey.
And so they were able to get us out of the territory onto a bus and take us out of the territory to interrogation center. And that's the first thing. They interrogated us.
Where'd they
wanted
take
to
you?
know who you are and what we did with D.P. Oliver Jr., 18-18-73-42,
Where'd they
United States Air Force.
Where'd they take you to?
They took me to a dungeon, me and the Smares, for interrogation. Then after interrogation, after we stayed there 2 or 3 weeks, and interrogated us every day. And the Germans, when they asked me and I told them name, rank, and serial number, this goddamn German hit me on the back of the head with the butt of his rifle and called me a fucking Indian. My hair was straight up. He said, "You fucking Indian," just plainer than I could. And then the German officer that was in there with this knothead pushed him away and told him something, and told me to sit down. So they didn't like us. So then, from there,
After interrogation, where'd they take you?
they took me to the dungeon. And I stayed there 2 weeks, me and Dick Thayer, the guy that came to see me from Indiana.
Remember?
And he was the one, he told me, and he had Abbott and Dismaris to sign a statement that they were going to turn me in for the Congressional Medal of
Wow.
Honor. Because everything I stole
To survive.
to keep them alive.
Well, they were grateful for that. But the guy that came from Indiana, he's not living now, is he? No.
No, he died. He had wrote the letter. Abbott give me a copy of it. It's in here somewhere.
Yeah, I think.
That they were going to send it to this general, this American general, head of the War Department, and never got there. That's all we heard of it. But when we dug the trench, stole all the Germans' potatoes, when I dug up underneath the wooden building with no floor and made a hole where I dug, here they come, potatoes. So we took, everybody came, they were kind of secretly, took the goddamn kartoffels, which is potatoes, and everybody loaded up with potatoes. And we went back on the march again for another 10 or 12 days, and we eat our rutabagas and our kartoffels.
Well, before you get ahead of yourself, when you left the dungeon, they sent you obviously to Stalag 17 at that time.
Yes.
Okay? Well, let's talk about that. They send you over there. What was it like over there?
What
When
was it like?
Yeah, when you first got to Stalag 17, you spent 2 years of your life over there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk
Not
about
at
that.
2 years.
Okay.
Me and Dick, Dismaris, and Abbott.
Okay.
We were all in Stalag 17 in the same end of the barracks. Later on, Amy's cousin,
Carlisle.
Carlisle,
Yeah.
they put him in 30B with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had put him in the Army when I was on recruiting service. Anyway, Stalag 17, you didn't get nothing to eat but 3 little potatoes about that big around for 1 meal. That's it. Or either they had a potato soup or potatoes and beans or barley soup. 1 cup as big as one of these tomato cans. You know, like
Tomato paste.
like y'all
Little tomato.
open,
Mhm.
not that big. The same size as a Carnation cream can. They dipped in there, you got 1 scoop and that was it.
You lived on potatoes.
Huh?
You lived on potatoes.
Potato water.
This old boy was smart. His two volunteered to clean out the potato scum and all that around the pot, that I would clean the kibble. And when I did, I'd just stick my hand in it. I'd eat the damn potato juice.
You gotta survive.
Well, you damn right. And then when we went on the march, that's when I got the potatoes for these guys. We stole all the German farmers' potatoes. And rudabakers this big. They're like a turnip, but they're orange. They're orange color. We'd cut them up. We had a pan that we dug up on the way. We'd build a fire when we stop at night on the march, on the forced march, for 33 days and nights. And we would, whatever we had, we cooked it. Whatever we stole, we kept it. And
They're in prison, though. There was a lot of men tried to escape.
oh yeah, they didn't make it. We didn't have but one man that escaped Stalag 17. Shorty Gordon. I heard 10, 20 years ago he died.
You said many of them tried to climb that fence, and the Germans would kill them before they could get over the fence.
But we marched every day, every night until it got so dark, and then they'd bed us down right out in the woods. Nothing good.
How many miles a day were y'all marching?
Sometimes 30.
Whew.
Tell him when you were in prison. What did y'all do in the prison?
Huh?
What did y'all do in the prison while y'all were in prison?
You sit down and looked at one another and read everything, learned to spell and all that shit by yourself.
One guy knitted, made socks. Didn't you?
Oh yeah, Dick Retman. I brought him home. Damn wool socks. Green, come up to
He
here.
knew how to knit.
I kept them things for 20, 25 years.
How much
He
did
came
you,
to see me,
how much did you weigh when you came out of Stalag 17?
108.
Pretty skinny.
108 3/4 is what they weighed me.
Huh.
Shit, right now, today, I lost so much weight. I don't weigh but about 144 right now.
Where'd you get your frostbite at?
Huh?
What year was your frostbite? Was that in the military?
Oh yeah, 20 below zero, shit, I imagine. You see them brown, black spots? This one's not as bad.
Okay, look.
Yes, it is. See it?
Wait just a minute.
How dark it is?
Okay, I cut it off.
Uh,
What we're gonna do?
I
Now
can-
it's off.
I can tell y'all some weird shit.
Yeah, well, next time you have
I
to tell
kinda
him
make an outline.
before you went on that